Please don't forget subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to get notified of new daily videos.
When I bought the dilapidated Victorian on Elm Street, nestled in the heart of Willow Creek's famed historic district, it wasn't just a house, it was a dream. Years of savings, endless research, and a clear vision for its meticulous restoration consumed me. To ensure my historically accurate plans passed muster, I promptly submitted them to the Willow Creek Historical Preservation Society, expecting professional courtesy. What I got instead was Bernard Abbott. He was a long-standing, seemingly untouchable figure on the executive committee, renowned for his rigid interpretation of preservation. At the review meeting, he didn't just reject my plans for the facade. He condescendingly dismissed them as too ambitious and not fitting the understated elegance of Willow Creek, despite overwhelming historical documentation supporting my choices. He even had the audacity to hint that I should consider a more experienced local contractor, a thinly veiled attempt to push one of his overpriced cronies. His public belittling stung, and the permit stall threatened my entire project timeline and my substantial financial investment. I felt personally attacked, my passion turned into a public spectacle of inadequacy. That night, simmering with indignation, I realized I couldn't fight them from the outside. I needed to infiltrate their inner sanctum. My plan was simple: get on the committee, expose their hypocrisy, and ensure justice. I started by attending every public meeting, asking insightful questions, and volunteering for mundane archiving tasks. This allowed me to quietly observe the committee's dynamics and identify their weaknesses. I also connected with other frustrated residents, like Alana and Tobias, who'd faced similar arbitrary roadblocks. When a vacancy arose, I nominated myself. My platform, emphasizing transparency and support for genuine preservation, resonated with enough fed-up residents that, to my surprise, I won the election. I was assigned to the Records and Compliance Subcommittee, a perfect vantage point to begin my digging. My first move was to immerse myself in the Society's archives. Weeks turned into months as I meticulously sifted through meeting minutes, financial reports, and past permit applications. The chaos was astounding, but also illuminating. My first target was Brittany Zhang, the chairperson. I uncovered a clear pattern. Brittany had frequently approved projects from a specific developer with suspicious expediency, often with incomplete documentation, while other, more deserving projects languished. Cross-referencing this with her public financial disclosures revealed that her spouse was a significant investor in that very development company. It was a glaring conflict of interest, a direct violation of the Society's ethics charter. I compiled my evidence and discreetly presented it to Kellen Young, the secretary, and another committee member. Seeing the undeniable proof, and perhaps sensing the shift in power, Kellen sided with me. Faced with a potential public ethics investigation, Brittany was forced to resign for personal reasons. Next, I focused on Kellen Young and another enabling member. I found instances where Kellen, under Bernard's pressure, had deliberately lost or delayed minutes that contained dissenting opinions, painting a false picture of unanimous decisions. The other member had been using Society funds for lavish, research trips that were clearly personal vacations. With Brittany gone, the remaining committee members were far more receptive to my findings. Kellen resigned quietly after a private meeting where I laid out the evidence of manipulated records. The other member was voted off the committee, replaced by Tobias, while Alana stepped into Kellen's role. I now had the majority. Finally, it was Bernard Abbott's turn. I'd heard whispers over the years about unapproved alterations to his grand ancestral home, Abbott Manor, which he constantly held up as the gold standard of preservation. I pulled his original permit applications from decades ago and cross-referenced them with historic architectural surveys and, crucially, recent high-resolution aerial photographs. The bombshell was undeniable. Bernard had added a sprawling, modern, glassed-in sunroom and a multi-car garage years ago, without any permits or approval from the very society he now sought to control. His own property, the one he used to lecture others about fitting in, was a colossal, unapproved modification, a blatant violation of the very guidelines he used to bludgeon others. He had actively hidden it, denying external inspections during his tenure as a senior committee member. I called an emergency committee meeting. With Alana and Tobias now on the committee, I had the votes. I presented the irrefutable evidence, his old permit applications, the stark contrast of the aerial photos, and the specific bylaws he had violated. Bernard, initially sputtering denials, soon grew pale as the weight of the evidence crushed him. The reformed committee, now committed to genuine preservation and fairness, voted unanimously. Bernard Abbott was immediately stripped of all his titles, fined a staggering sum, tens of thousands, accruing daily until remediation, and given a strict deadline to begin remediation, essentially tearing down his unapproved additions. The cost of restoring his property to its original, smaller footprint would be astronomical, potentially bankrupting him. The news of Bernard Abbott, the self-proclaimed guardian of Willow Creek's heritage, being exposed as a hypocrite, spread like wildfire through the town. His reputation was ruined, his authority shattered. He tried to fight it, but the evidence was overwhelming, and he couldn't afford the restoration and the fines. Within months, Abbott Manor, his ancestral home, was put on the market. It sold for significantly less than its potential value due to the mandated restoration liabilities. Bernard, broken and disgraced, moved out of Willow Creek, a pariah. My own renovation was swiftly approved, and I was elected the new chair of the society, working with Alana and Tobias to finally make it genuinely supportive of thoughtful, fair preservation for everyone. His house was the last thing he lost, but his pride was the first. He deserved every bit of it. It was a long, arduous fight, but the sight of Abbott Manor, with a "for sale" sign, knowing the man who once mocked my dreams had lost his own, was a profound and deeply satisfying form of justice. Never underestimate someone you've publicly belittled.
If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button to like it. And please do subscribe to support the channel.